What's up, everybody? It's your boy Trippy, and I'm here with my prediction video for UFC 261. So before we hop into the 3 title fights, we're gonna go ahead and talk about these 2 fights right before them that we care about, but not as much as the 3 title fights, of course, right? So let's go ahead and talk about Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. I'm gonna go ahead and give Anthony Smith the benefit of the doubt. I think that he'll beat Jimmy Crute. I am down to get this one wrong because I didn't do too much research into it, but I'm gonna go ahead with Anthony Smith beating Jimmy Crute. So now, Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Weidman. I think Weidman will come out, pressure Uriah Hall early, and dominate him with the wrestling, taking him down, beating him up a little bit, but ultimately just taking him down and controlling him. But I wouldn't be surprised if late in the 3rd round, a Uriah Hall catches a chinny Chris Weidman and puts him away. The reason I'm picking against Uriah Hall, because I cannot pick him, although I think he has a great chance to win. I just cannot pick him because the dude just doesn't let his offense go. He kind of freezes up and then just waits for the perfect shot and looks for all these technical perfect shots, and he ends up losing the fight because of that. So he ends up just losing it for himself. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into these 3 title fights with this first title fight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. So Jessica Andrade, after beating Katlyn Chookagian and after moving up to the 125-pound division, is now getting a title shot against Valentina Shevchenko. I thought that it was a bit fast. I say that she could have got one more win after beating Katlyn Chookagian, a girl that Valentina Shevchenko absolutely dominated. But hey, the UFC does what the UFC does. But this is a really hard fight for Jessica Andrade because anytime it's on the feet, it's a wash on the feet. Valentina Shevchenko is going to dance circles around Jessica Andrade on the feet because Jessica Andrade is going to have a massive speed disadvantage. Valentina is so much faster than her. But Jessica Andrade has the power, right? But I just don't think that she can land anything meaningful enough on Valentina Shevchenko. Everybody's talking about the body shot. Oh, the body shot she landed on Chookagian. Oh, she can land it on Shevchenko. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. But even if she does, I don't see it having that big of an impact on Valentina Shevchenko. Her body shots are lethal, don't get me wrong, but I just think anytime it's on the feet, it's a wash. But it's competitive in areas. I believe on the ground it's competitive, and I believe in the clinch it's competitive. Jessica Andrade can pick up Valentina Shevchenko and dump her on her head, but I don't see that happening. I just think that Jessica Andrade is going to struggle trying to get Valentina on the ground and struggle trying to control her in the clinch. I see Jessica Andrade initiating the clinch and Valentina Shevchenko just getting loose of it, just getting away from it every single time, pushing Andrade off of her and forcing it to stand. Every time Jessica Andrade tries to initiate something on the feet, she's gonna throw one punch, and to her one punch, Valentina is gonna probably throw about 5 countering her. She's just that much faster and just a more skilled stand-up opponent. Jessica Andrade isn't very technical. She's a very brawl-heavy style of fighter. And I think that this one is a handy one for Valentina Shevchenko. So I'm going to go with Valentina Shevchenko. I'm going to go with a decision. I can't see a head kick possibly knocking out Jessica Andrade. But I'm going to go with a decision. And I'm going to go with Valentina Shevchenko, probably 50-45 on the judges' scorecards. So now we move to the other women's title fight on the card. Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas. So this is the most even fight on the card and the most competitive in my opinion, and is also my pick for fight of the night. I think that this one is going to be bombs away, and I think that this is going to be the crazy one. But I'm going to go ahead and start with this. Weili Zhang is a pretty solid striker. Rose Namajunas is a fantastic striker, man. Very technical. Though she's hittable, she is very technical, and it's hard to hit. So I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think that this fight goes right for Rose in the first 2 rounds. I think that in the first 2 rounds, I believe that Rose Namajunas is going to show her skill set, and I think that she's going to win comfortably the first 2 rounds. I see Weili Zhang constantly trying to find that range and constantly trying to land something big on Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas using that fantastic footwork and just piecing her apart in the boxing. I think that Rose Namajunas is going to tear apart Weili Zhang in the boxing, and she's going to make Weili Zhang look like a punching bag with legs early on. Though I feel like Weili Zhang early is going to fire back and land some herself, I just think Rose Namajunas is going to dominate the early striking. So here comes the problem for Rose Namajunas. I said early on the first 2 rounds will be all Rose, right? But as those rounds go on, Rose Namajunas is very heavy on that leg, man. And I think Weili Zhang is going to tear apart that leg. She's going to absolutely chew apart that leg, man. And don't get it twisted. Weili Zhang, after she starts tearing apart that leg, is going to mix up her boxing and start landing heavy on Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas has a problem every single time she fights and her fights go to distance, is that every time her opponent lands something big, whether it's a takedown and she gets controlled on the ground or a big punch, she starts to panic and the fights just starts freaking exploding right in front of her. It's almost as if she's self-destructing, right? That is what costed her against Jessica Andrade. It's like all of a sudden, once the momentum change and the momentum shifts in the other direction, Rose Namajunas tends to fall apart. But in the early rounds, man, she looks like possibly the greatest fighter in the planet. But that leg, man, just those leg kicks, those kicks, Weili Zhang is going to eat up that leg. I can just see it from a mile away. And I feel like Weili Zhang is going to start mixing that up with her boxing and starting to land on Rose Namajunas, who was seemingly unhittable in the first 2 rounds. As the rounds go on and that leg gets even more damaged and Weili Zhang starts taking control of the fight or making the fight more competitive, Rose Namajunas she's gonna do what she always does and start self-destructing. Once she gets back to her corner, the corner will calm her down and she'll come back out and start fighting well again. But once Weili lands heavy or takes her down or does whatever, once there's a momentum shift, Rose Namajunas just falls apart. But in the technical aspect, I think on the feet, Rose Namajunas has it in the bag if she doesn't break apart. Now, all that can be deleted. All of this for Weili Zhang can be deleted if Rose Namajunas shows up and she has an answer for the kicks. And if she takes a big shot, which will happen, she doesn't completely fall apart. And she could possibly drop Weili Zhang and take the back and choke her out. But I don't know, man. Weili Zhang is tough and she is the champ for a reason. She is so skilled everywhere. I'm going to have to go with Weili Zhang, man. I feel like Weili Zhang is going to piece apart the puzzle. I feel like it's early on. It's going to be a little difficult for her, but I think that she'll solve the puzzle late and start piecing it all together and picking apart Rose Namajunas in the later rounds. But, man, this one is hard to predict. I can definitely see it going both ways for both women, but I'm just going to have to go with Weili Zhang for now, but I can definitely see Rose Namajunas putting on a masterclass and dominating Weili Zhang and possibly finishing her or just dominating her for 5 rounds. But I'm going to go with Weili Zhang. I'm going to go with a 4th round TKO. And now we move to the big rematch / grudge match. Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. So, this fight, last fight, we all know that Masvidal had a built-in excuse, but reasonably, I agree with him in the fact that he wasn't in his best shape to fight Jorge Masvidal. And I agree with Usman that he had to fight a different style of opponent on a short notice, but Usman, all he had to do was just resort to what he usually does. The game plan was different for Gilbert Burns, but he just had to resort to what he usually does to beat Jorge Masvidal. And so Jorge Masvidal obviously has the advantage in the stand-up, though Usman has gotten better with his offense. He has holes in his defense. So I believe early on the fight will be competitive. I do, contrary to belief, everybody thinks that Usman is just going to go out here and just do even worse to Jorge Masvidal. I don't see that. I think Jorge is going to be in better shape, and I think that he'll be able to keep it up for a little while longer. I can see him winning the first 2. I can see the first one going to Masvidal. The second one being competitive, but I think Masvidal edges it out. Then I can see the 3rd round is where Usman start to momentum shift. And then I think as the 4th and 5th rounds, I just believe it's just going to be a down spiral for Jorge Masvidal. I believe that Kamaru Usman is going to do what he normally does. If Jorge Masvidal can keep his back off the cage and keep it in the center of the octagon, use his kicks and use his explosive striking, he can definitely lead Usman into something big, rocking him. Matter of fact, I can see that happening. I really can see that happening. Jorge Masvidal rocking him, but it's just this thing, man. The mental aspect, like I always like to talk about. Usman is doing it for legacy. I feel like at this point, Jorge Masvidal is doing it for money. I'm honest. I'm just being honest. I think he's getting paid a lot for this, and so I think that's why he took it on 5 weeks. So, I mean, if you don't believe me, the proof is in the pudding. Jorge Masvidal turned down a title shot earlier. He could have got this a lot earlier, but he turned down a title shot. But look, so I believe that Jorge Masvidal can absolutely win this fight, but I just think it'll be the same result. I believe that he'll stay competitive longer. I believe that he starts to gas out maybe halfway through the 3rd and Usman completely takes over. And I think that we just see the same performance. I honestly think we see the same fight. Usman pushes him up against the cage, hit him with body shots. Those body shots do a lot more damage than you think. They gas out Jorge Masvidal quicker, and I just see him utilizing that even more. That jab is going to back Jorge Masvidal up. He's going to put his back on the cage because it's almost impossible to keep your back off the cage if you're not Colby Covington against Kamaru Usman. And so I just see that happening. I see Usman going for the legs, either taking him down or just controlling him in the clinch and beating him up in the clinch. The clinch will be competitive early, but Usman is just going to control it in the 3rd round, 4th round, and 5th round. So ultimately, I see Kamaru Usman definitely winning this fight again. I see it being the same result again, probably this time, probably 49-46 for Usman or 50-46, either one of those. But I do see Usman winning this fight and closing the book, closing the chapter on a rivalry with Jorge Masvidal. But that has been my predictions. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you guys got in the comment section below. But this has been your boy Trippy, and I can't wait for UFC 261. I was supposed to be there, but we won't talk about that. And I'm out, man.